Make sure it's going through, and then we can get going. Sorry if this is a little bit of a rocky startup here, but...
No, we can't argue with it. It happens. We're still learning.
Exactly. Now, I am going to put everybody on lecture mode.
The recording has started. All participants are muted.
Hello. This is the disclaimers by Davidlee Buess and Edward Johnston. Today is July 10th, 2017. And for a new aspect, we are going to give you a little public broadcast kind of information here. We do not own this. We are just we're just playing the recording of it for your education.
Well, I remember a teacher that I had. Now, I went through the 7th grade. I went to the 7th grade. And I left home when I was 10 years old because I was hungry. And I used to, this is true. I work in the summer and I go to school in the winter. But I had this one teacher. He was the principal of the Harrison School in Vincennes, Indiana. To me, this was the greatest teacher, a real sage of my time, anyhow. He had such wisdom. And we were all reciting the Pledge of Allegiance one day. And he walked over, this little old teacher, Mr. Laswell was his name. Mr. Laswell, and he says, I've been listening to you boys and girls recite the Pledge of Allegiance all semester, and it seems as though it's becoming monotonous to you. If I may I recite it and try to explain to you the meaning of each word. I, me, an individual, a committee of one, pledge, dedicate all of my worldly goods to give without self-pity, allegiance, my love and my devotion to the flag, our standard, Old Glory, a symbol of freedom. Wherever she waves, there's respect, because your loyalty has given her a dignity that shouts, freedom is everybody's job. United. That means that we have all come together. States, individual communities that have united into 48 great states. 48 individual communities with pride and dignity and purpose. All divided with imaginary boundaries, yet united to a common purpose, and that's love for country. And to the republic, a state in which sovereign power is invested in representatives chosen by the people to govern. And government is the people, and it's from the people to the leaders, not from the leaders to the people, for which it stands. One nation, meaning so blessed by God, indivisible, incapable of being divided, with liberty, which is freedom, the right of power to live one's own life without threats, fear, or some sort of retaliation. And justice, the principle or qualities of dealing fairly with others. For all, which means, boys and girls, it's as much your country as it is mine. And now, boys and girls, let me hear you recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Since I was a small boy, 2 states have been added to our country, and 2 words have been added to the Pledge of Allegiance: under God. Wouldn't it be a pity if someone said that is a prayer and that would be eliminated from schools too?
Okay, we would like to thank you and everybody for joining us. We're going to start putting that on every week. We want to thank Red Skelton for bringing out a perfect point of view. If people don't realize, Red Skelton was an immigrant to this country. He brought out some real facts. Neil was coming, and like he said, we only had 48 states, and then 2 other states were added. And this is the point that is so frustrating, you know, with our country, is that people think that these other 2 states have rights when they don't. The bottom line comes down to is the structure that came from the other countries, the other states, came from our country. We have a constitutional rights, not privileges in this country. And once you guys realize that there is a right, not a privilege, okay, that is the main point, you know, is comprehending what this country means. This country is not open to the rest of the world. Everybody thinks, oh, God, the United States is open, and our Constitution is worldwide. Wrong. And it's not the Bible. The Bible gives you no rights whatsoever, period, end of story. The only rights that lawful bloodline Americans get is from the Constitution only. There is no rights in the Bible. And if you go through the courts, and I'll have that sent out here pretty soon, too. I've written a structure, and I'll have publicized here pretty soon, with the court system, all the way to the Vatican, to your Bible and all your Christianity stuff, proving how the courts are fraud, proving how the courts are running your life under religious structure. And everybody goes, oh, the women shouldn't have abortions. All right, then you have no rights to your home. You have no rights to your children. You have no rights to even have a car. If a woman has no rights to her body, you have no rights. Wake up, people. You have no rights to dictate to a woman. No woman has a right to dictate to another woman. No man has a right to dictate to a woman, and especially no church has a right to dictate to any man, woman, or child. Churches are mind control instruments. They don't love you. They don't care about you. The root of all evil is money. If you read the real Bible, they've changed it to the love of money, because people are so influenced and brainwashed and so convincing to take away their rights because they are so weak. The average man and woman is so pathetically weak today, they have no concept of what reality of truth is. They can't even go out in the woods. They get lost. They don't even know what the hell the woods means. You know, oh, we're going to go to a state campground, or we don't pay for camping. We cannot camp. Wake up, folks. You have a right to the public woods. We, the lawful bloodline Americans, own them. All right? Now, elected and public servants, registered church members, when they go to our facilities, of course, they have to pay. That's part of the IRS tax code. Read it. Weep. It's there. It's not a joke. This is the one thing that people have got to start coming together and realizing what the forefathers truly set up for our structure of freedom. Freedom is not the rest of the world in this country. Freedom only works in this country for we, the people. That's it. That is it. We are not open to read the Constitution, and that's when most people do not comprehend what the Constitution says. They don't read it. Most people know the Bible better than they know their own rights. Then they go, oh, God gave me rights. Show to me in the Bible where God gave you rights. The King of England had given people rights, and that was under the alleged Bible. Okay, but that's the point. England is not the United States, folks. Wake up. We are not to have any contact with the British government or do trade with them. It's the original structure of our foundation of this soil and country. Our forefathers said that. And everybody goes, oh, the 14th Amendment, don't go by that because it's a slave and it doesn't mean what it is. Yes, it has been ratified. Yes, it really was passed. We've researched it. We've done it. We've proven it. And this is the structure. People don't want to admit to the truth because, oh, I can't get my way. I can't do a 501c3. 501c3 through 9s are the devil's paperwork. 100% the devil. Churches write it off. Oh, and then what would we brought up? Oh, pay the church for forgiveness. God will forgive your sins so long as you pay the church to forgive your sins. You have to pay them for the privilege to forgive your sins, and if you don't pay them, you're not forgiven. I mean, come on, people. Have we lost real reality here? You know, I know a lot of people really have. You know, a lot of people have lost real reality. They don't read the Constitution. They don't read statute, codes, and administration. And like it says on our wall, they wrote it, we quote it. They wrote the law, they put the structure together, and now we are doing it. Okay, and that's your responsibility to raise your kids to comprehend what the Constitution means. You cannot blame the teachers because you're at fault. You are at fault. The parents are liable. Be an adult. Start growing up. I mean, most kids today spent their time in video games and never had a concept of what the real world was. They were not brought up in the real world. They were brought up in Disney and video games, so they don't even know what the real world is. They don't even know what the Constitution really means. The Constitution provides you rights, not privileges. All right? So long as you're a lawful bloodline American. Now, if you're an immigrant, you have privileges, but the other point with the privileges, so long as that you pay your taxes, follow the system until you become lawful, then your citizenship has what they call closer rights under the House and Senate, and that means read it. We file it. We have filed it. I've got the filing right now on Cape Brown. I'll get to that in a minute. But you have to read this stuff when you go to court. These kangaroo courts, you have to know what court you're in. You have to ask the judge what jurisdiction you're in. You have to ask the judge what jurisdiction he's claiming to be representing. Okay? That is your responsibility. I talk to too many people I go into court and, you know, I told the judge this and I said this to the judge. And I'm going, that's hearsay evidence. What do you mean you said? Didn't you file your paperwork before you got there? Oh, well, the clerk wouldn't accept it. Excuse me, did you register and certify mail it? Did you go in and file it in the clerk and, oh, that's right, you're sitting there and the clerk asks you, what is this for? You don't sit there and tell the clerk what the hell's going on. You just ask her very politely or him very politely to do the service, stamp it, and you want a copy. Come on, folks, quit being fools. Learn how to represent yourself. It is not their responsibility to do this. Okay? Their responsibility is to take away your rights. Their responsibility is to destroy your livelihood. Their responsibility is to destroy you. Soon as you accept that these men and women are here to destroy you under the devil's Vatican structure, you're going to learn. The courts are run under the Vatican. That's been proven. Like I said, I'll have that complete letter and template out so people can actually see the real history of the real truth of what's going on compared to the fantasy people are living. You know, and this is a major, major issue. A major issue. People have to come and comprehend what the hell the truth is going on. Okay? You cannot sit there and go to court and say, I said this. No. You go into court, you have your papers when you walk into court, and you say, I don't have a problem. I call the judge by their first name. And they'll say, you have to call me Honor or whatever. No, that is your name, Honor? No, this is your name, isn't it? So my question to you is on section line 132, this paragraph part of the structure, is my question to you, is this a fact here? Is this the actual law? Is this what it means? You know, and this way you know if they read it or not. That is your responsibility to make sure that they read it. That is your responsibility to make sure they know what they're talking about. That is your responsibility to know when you go to court, if they're flying a gold fringe flag, file on it. 10838, file on it. You know, I mean, I've helped a lot of people out, and I really get frustrated when people call me when they're going to jail or doing this stuff. And I ask them, did you ever file the paperwork? Did you ever do this? Oh, no, I didn't have time. I didn't do that. You've had 3 weeks to do it. What do you mean you didn't have time? You know, it really disturbs me that people sit there and they go home, watch TV, play video games, and they act like nothing's going on in the real world because they think if they can put their head in the sand like an ostrich, they won't get hit with a Mack truck and take their butt along for the ride. You know, it is your responsibility. If you're an adult, claim it. If you want to go throw yourself at the mercy of the court like everybody else did or Christians used to do in the medieval days, okay, remember Christianity, if you weren't a Christian, you were murdered and quartered and suffered, and if you didn't join Christianity, you were actually murdered for not complying to their structure. Read real history, folks. You know, that's the point. It's real history. That's the point. Most people don't live in real history. You know, that's the frustrating point of all this stuff. People don't live in real history. They don't research. They want to argue. I've argued with many people on the phone about, you know, their case or this, and I've been, you know, I don't have a problem with it, but, you know, then they get upset because I tell them my mind bluntly. You know, you're stupid. This is what needs to be done. Don't call me stupid. Well, I'm going to call you stupid because you are stupid, because a man or a woman who's going to care for their children or themselves ain't going to be stupid. They're going to research. They're going to read it. They're going to look it up. They're going to pay attention. You know, I've been stupid most of my life until I educated myself. And I used to grow up being called stupid all the time. I never took it personal. I had a thing called intelligence that said, hey, I want to be smarter than that. So I'm going to be smarter than that, so I have to be smarter than that. You know, and that's the point. You have to be smarter. When somebody calls you stupid, be smart. Go research it. Go look at it. Go find it. You know, it's your responsibility to be smart, not anybody else's. Now, I'm going to be setting up the other point. I am filing, and I put on the website. I'm getting out, dealing with what I just filed, and I'm going through the Superior Court of Oregon and the 9th District Court in San Francisco. I'm filing it, and I will be filing in the 2 federal courts. I have probably, looks like a total of 9 filings I'm going to be doing on Kate Brown in the state of Oregon Territory. Domestic terrorist Kate Brown. All right, number one, she's still an attorney. To the best of my knowledge, she is not registered in the Foreign Registration American Act. So by that, that's why Comey was fired, and people are going, oh, poor Comey, FBI director, poor Comey. Well, the FBI has been covering up crimes and covering up for the murders of these public servants in democracy, the democratic democracy. You know, democratic democracy is rape, rob, and pillage. And everybody goes, oh, Democrats all give us a right to vote. They give us a... No, they don't. That's the point. We didn't have voting until Lincoln. And then people go off with Lincoln and say, well, Lincoln this and Lincoln that. Yes, all right, Lincoln, let's be honest here. Lincoln is very simply proven, yes, he was an attorney. All right, he was assassinated because he would not sign this country over to England. That's been confirmed. That's even his own memoirs. He comprehended when he took the oath to become an attorney what the truth was compared to what he was led to believe, like most people are led to believe in the way they think or the lack of their education. So, you know, that's the whole point. You know, I love it when people tell me, oh, we're going to pray to God for you to help you out because you don't believe in this. Well, the First Amendment right gives me my rights to religion. My Bible is the constitutional oath. Constitution gave me freedom, gave me rights. The Bible gives you nothing. It talks about rape, robbery, and murder and how it's acceptable, and if you paid for the sins, you are forgiven. You know, and then the other point I've been watching on this other point dealing with some children that, you know, one of the states is saying now when children and women are raped, they have to notify the raper before they can have an abortion. I can't believe people are not intelligent. It's a woman's body. The Constitution gives her rights. And if you have no respect for that, you shouldn't have any rights. Period. End of story. Don't ask for forgiveness then. If you have no respect to another man or woman, don't ask for rights. You're not entitled to rights then. Because you're showing that you have no responsibility or compassion for another woman or man, for their rights. You're proving it by doing that, by not honoring another woman or man's constitutional rights. Remember, it's Constitution rights. Okay? Democracy gives you no rights. The Bible gives you no rights. Read it. You know, the Magna Carta was written in England. We are not part of England in the 48 states. And that is the one thing you do have to realize and read. Okay? We are not England. I mean, I deal with people outside of this country and what they call the crown. Back and forth, we've been fighting on emails, and I keep proving the structure. Even proved the structure in 1993, and I publicized in a newspaper with the Queen of England's own stamp on it saying the Constitution is the law of this land. The Constitution is the law of this land. Not the British government, not anybody else. The Constitution. The Bible is not the law of this land. Okay, the Bible gives you a headache and heartache because it doesn't give you any rights. Think about it. Read it. Read the Constitution. No injured party, no property damage. You have rights, not privileges. It is that simple. No property damages. No injury. You know, that is the main thing that people have got to comprehend. Yeah, if you don't comprehend it, then this is the problem that people get in trouble with in this country. You know, and so it's really disturbing. So, but yeah, I've got the letter out with Kate Brown. I've got it going into the courts. I'm finishing up the other 9. I am writing the court system with the Bible to the Queen of England, to the Vatican, to the courthouse that rapes, robs, and pillages you today, who writes you a traffic ticket, who steals your children under the Vatican, under that Bible. They steal your children by that Bible. So I'm writing the whole real history structure and putting it all together. You guys can believe what you want or not, but I'm putting the actual facts together so that way there's not a conflict of interest. So when it does get filed in court, they cannot dispute it. They wrote it, we quote it. And so that is the one thing. And one thing is we have to thank our introduction from a good actor, Red Skelton. You know, he was an immigrant that came to this country. He sat there and told you there was no God in the Pledge of Allegiance. You know, it was only 48 states, not 50. Democrats have changed stuff all the time to brainwash you folks all the time, and you accept it. I mean, it's like the gay and lesbian issue. Jesus Christ, folks. If they want to play with themselves and their animals in their bed, let them do it. Write a contract between each other. Stay the hell out of our lives. We don't want to hear it. We don't want to see it on TV. We don't want to see parades. Bad enough we have parades with our own garbage. But if you have gay and lesbian, write a contract between each other. Stay out of the devil's system. That's the Bible. Everybody goes, oh, I want to be blessed by the Bible, and I got to get a marriage license. Write a contract. Stay out of it. Then that way the attorneys cannot come in your home and steal your assets. So that way the court cannot come in and divide your assets and steal your own assets as well and take their cut for being involved. You know? And if you do decide to get married, you don't do a marriage license. I'm talking even straight men and women. Don't get a marriage license. Write a contract. Put a contract together. Because if you violate the contract, you can file that in the court and the judge has to go by that contract. That's the point, is knowing what contractual law is really about compared to what we're led to believe. So, you know, I mean, like I said, I'm pushing on the structure for Kate Brown. I've been emailing that all over. Please read it. You know, realize that the Constitution gives you rights. Nothing else gives you the rights on that. The Constitution gives you rights. You know, I mean, I ask people all the time, I did this, and God's going to do this for me, and then that never happens. So I ask them, how did that work for you? You know? And I get really disturbed with people, you know, when you file paperwork for them, they never follow through, and then they want to sit there and whine and cry, and then they want to call you and go, well, I'm doing this, and this is what's going on. And then it's like, well, did you ever file the paperwork 3 weeks ago? No. Why not? Well, I didn't think about it, and I didn't have time. Oh, but I'm taking 40 hours to 30 hours of my life writing the stuff or putting together information for you, and I'm sorry, I'm not your daddy to hold your hand through this stuff. Okay, I don't mind helping people out, but nobody pays me for my kindness. Nobody does anything for me, coming out and mowing my lawn or doing stuff like this for me. I have severe medical issues. Crushed back, 19 blown discs to my spinal cord. I'm out there pulling my own weeds. I'm out there mending my own fence and stuff, and I cry in pain all the time. Literally, it's painful. Crushed back, it hurts. I don't have people out there doing this stuff for me. I don't have medication because I'm denied medication because the doctors like to do that because they want to kill you. I won't sign their contracts to give them my life and rights over to them. I'm not going to sign my contracts or my medical structure to cover the hospital and their attorneys or a doctor. Hell no. I'm not going to do that. I won't do that. Neither should any of you. You need to know the truth of how to do this stuff. It's your responsibility. And that is the one thing. If we don't start educating your children in responsibility, and you don't educate your children in responsibility, I walk around my neighborhood. I've had kids that want to learn. The parents sit there and tell the kids, oh, don't ask him, stay away from him. And then I get into, where I do question them sometimes, and I give them information. And then the parents are yelling and screaming, going, they're too young to know the Constitution. They're not supposed to know this. They're not supposed to do that. They're supposed to be watching Disney. They're supposed to be playing. And I'm thinking to myself, the best time for a child to learn is when his brain is that way and the parents deny knowledge to a child. Great, great education system we got here. Brainwash the kids to be stupider. Don't teach them how to be smart. Don't teach them how to look across the street, and then when they get hit by a car, oh, pray to God because you got hit by a car. But we didn't teach them to look across the street and look both ways before you cross the street. We just throw them out there and let them go. Like parents today, when the kids turn 18, they throw them on the street. They don't educate them. Period. You don't educate your kids to survive. You don't educate your kids to feed. You don't educate your kids to skin a deer, how to fish, how to walk across the street. I see it in my community all the time. Things happen all the time to these kids, But the parents, they say, oh, they're too afraid because DHS will put them in jail. Well, file on your rights as your bloodline, claim it. Knowing how to file and filing is two different animals, too. But at least if you get something filed, at least you're learning and starting to learn. And once you start perfecting it, it takes a little time to start knowing the education and knowledge and being responsible. And so when people are responsible, Dave and I have no problem giving help and doing that, But the people that are out there doing this stuff that I've dealt with in the last month myself with a few other people, I'm just like, it doesn't discourage me for the others. It just pisses me off because it shows me that these people claim they say they love their children and then they lie. It's a bold-faced lie. So that's what pisses me off when people lie to my face like that or on the phone like that to me. Pisses me off. So, anyhow, it's just one of those things, but the filings are going on. Dave and I are doing that. We're working on, Dave has got to get the other structure that he's getting ready to go back on the Supreme Court on his. And so we're getting that brought up. We are educating others, and others that have gone to court. Some people have won their cases recently. Hopefully they start coming on the show and start passing their knowledge of what they learned and how they were able to be successful. Because without people being successful and passing their knowledge, this is what this is all about with me and Dave and you all folks too, is to educate one another, because if we're not educating each other how to protect ourselves from the devil's Bible and the devil's system, called the Democrats. This is what's going on. People say, oh, the Democrats give you rights, and when you have to vote, and they regulate the voting. And I've been in elections where the mayor of my town won an election when I ran for mayor myself, and it was in the dead people were allowed to vote, and that was acceptable in a democracy. That's what a democracy is dead people, they control it. So, live in your fantasy, because it's the light is coming. And by the way, like I tell people, start growing food, collecting water, growing food right now, start canning stuff, because we're going to end up in some rough times. I'm not trying to put anything out, but if we do end up in some rough times coming up, at least have some canned food ready for yourselves and your family, because you're going to have to take care of yourselves and your family, not your neighbors first. Yourselves come first. Don't give anything out that you don't have, because you got to look at, maybe it might be 2 or 3 months. So look at it, protect yourself. Get some barrels out there, collect rainwater. Cities and towns will tell you, oh, you can't do that, you can't do this. I have them out in the front yard. I'm public on my stuff. I've gone after them. But keep your barrels in the backyard and stuff. Don't be flaunting like I do. I flaunt it because I'm filing on these people. I'm going after the indictments on them for their structure. And unless you've got the strength to do something like that, keep it in the backyard. Start growing your vegetables. Don't plant lawns. Plant food. So anyhow, with that one, I'm going to turn it over to Dave, because hopefully he's with us by now. And so I want to turn it over to Dave, and then we'll get into some other topics. And so anyhow, I did my opening, and I want to thank everybody for participating, listening. And well, after Dave's done, please bring your knowledge into the round circle. Go ahead, Dave.
All right, now I gotta find Dave. I'll unmute everybody real quick. And Dave,
he's a 325 number.
352 or 325?
352.
Okay.
Wow, I wasn't realizing I was muted.
Well,
That's why I couldn't make you hear me.
No, sorry about that.
Now the floor is yours.
Well, it's been a wonderful day today. I flew from Ohio to Florida, and believe it or not, the plane was absolutely on time perfect. We hit the tarmac at exactly the time they said we would arrive. And flight was wonderful. A lot of clouds, but very few turbulence. And so anyway, met with Michelle, and we went out to dinner with a couple of her friends, and that's why I'm late getting on the show, because it took forever at the restaurant to get the meal. So, but anyway, that being said, we have a situation in America, and people I don't think comprehend fully the understanding of it, or comprehension of it, however you want to say it. The Bible is very specific. It is an abomination for man to lie with man and woman to lie with woman. But why does the Catholic cult not preach it? You hit it on the head, Ed, when you said it's all about the money. Light the candle, pay the price, your sins are forgiven. And so hold on a minute. Anyway, we're starting to see the light of day. We're playing phone tag. Michelle's on here with me anyway. But anyway, it seems to me like it's okay to disagree with God's law as long as we can put a buck in the pocket. I don't comprehend that as being the full armor of God, as they say. So if you have directly quoted from Scripture, and I understand there's places in the New Testament too that I haven't had time to research them yet, but the New Testament warns about this same thing, that for a man to lie with man and a woman to lie with woman, it's an abomination. So is that an abomination to the church, or is that an abomination unto the Lord? And I think, and Michelle agrees with me on this one, It's both. So.
Well, the other point is, if you want to lie with one or the other, we don't want to hear about it.
Can you hear me, Ed?
Yeah, can you hear me?
He couldn't hear. He was answering.
Oh, it's mute.
Huh?
Ed?
I gotta get unmuted, God damn it.
No,
Am I unmuted?
you are unmuted.
I can barely hear you.
Oh, okay, let me go to the other phone. Hang on. Is that any better?
Somewhat.
Oh, that's weird. My phones are playing games again.
Oh,
but
boy.
the main in that, if you're sleeping with another opposite of the same sex, have some respect for yourself. We don't want to hear it.
Exactly.
You know, have respect for yourself and your partner. Show some responsibility.
Right. Do you have your cell phone speaker?
No, I'm on my regular phone. I don't have a cell phone. My landline apparently wasn't even letting me do that. Apparently my volume got turned down or something on it.
I don't know.
I'll figure that one out later, because right now I'm setting up for our T-shirt and stuff. We're going to be having a structure of no pass warning to all government agents, officers, employees, and contractors. We'll have that for stickers for the cars. I was talking to some people about production of T-shirts. If I do T-shirts and we do that, we're going to try to get everything done American-made cotton and that stuff instead of overseas. For to be here in the United States, it's a minimum of $6 or $7 more for American-made compared to overseas. So, you know, we're working on these things so this way we can bring it out to we the people.
America first, as far as I'm concerned, Ed. If we can't get it made in America, sold in America by Americans, then...
Oh, no, we're doing that. That is the one thing we are doing, but it's the point of doing it so this way it is done to a fashion, you know, because I mean, the T-shirts I could get from America, made in America. So far, it looks like the jackets for the embroidery I got to get from another state. I mean, from another country. So I'm still working on that, trying to get it done here in this country. So there's got to be somebody that makes coats in this country that are American-made. I just don't. It's just, the price might be shocking, you know. And then when I talked to one of the manufacturers that I've been dealing with in the past, and he was telling me that, you know, everybody's going to the cheaper foreign structure because it's cheaper to have the foreigners do it than we the Americans would do it. Yeah, it's like, and then people wonder why you ain't got jobs. People wonder why the prices are so high with your water and electricity bills. That's why. That's why, folks, right there. You know, those things do add up. So I didn't mean to cut you off, Dave. Finish what you were going on. You there? Anybody there? Hello?
It looks like Dave dropped off accidentally.
Oh, okay.
So
well, that was a stunner.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, just keep talking, Ed.
So got it. All right.
You're good at.
Oh yeah. Can't deny that one. So, but yeah, I've been posting all this up on the first filing on Cape Brown, what I'm doing. I am asking people to autograph it, to send it to Jeff Sessions in Washington, D.C., and I'm looking for the other one I just did, to send it email as well as mailing it to the Ninth Circuit Court Grand Jury Investigation Unit. Okay, because this is serious, man. If we, I mean, I don't give a damn about abortions when it comes down to it. It's a woman's body. Wake up, people. And if you don't have respect for another woman or another man's feelings and emotions or their body, you shall not have the same. God doesn't give you rights, the Constitution does. And I will argue that each and every time with you. Nobody's been able to prove me wrong yet. You know, the Constitution gives you rights. The Bible gives you nothing but headache and heartache and mind control. That's all it ever does. You know, and that's the point that you folks have to wake up to the real truth of reality instead of the fiction that you've been brainwashed to live. And believe me, we've all been there. We all have been there. It is nothing new to you, okay? It's nothing new to me. We all been there. But you have to stand up for the rights. You have to teach the children. It's your responsibility. You know? That's the main thing, is that you have to comprehend. Now you're getting to learn it. You're getting to know it. Now stand up and prove it. Prove that you love your children. Prove you care for them. You know? And like I said earlier, I mean, I've dealt with many people that, you know, they wanted help. They get help. They don't follow through, you know, and then they get in deeper trouble because they didn't follow through, and then they want you to bail them out. You know, it's like, no. You know, you wanted your God, go to your God. Ask God to bail you out. God is there for you. You know, He's there for you. So have Him go bail you out. Have Him go write your instruments. You know, you want Him, go deal with Him. See where that's gotten you already today. See where it gets you further. Nowhere. The point. Doesn't get you anywhere. People want to argue about these things when it doesn't work that way. You know, like I told somebody the other day, you know, been dealing with them for 4 months. 4 months. You know, they didn't do their paperwork. They didn't do this. They didn't want to do that. Then they're going, oh, I'm going to jail again. Yeah, it's like, why are you calling me from jail? I'm still amazed, but anyhow, why are you calling me for jail? You already told me you didn't care about your kids. You already proved to me that you didn't care about the facts. You know, you didn't have time to do your paperwork or file the complaints or the criminal charges that were actually written for you. You know, so that's where I started going, is I'm wondering, who are these people setting up, trying to put me in jail or something? Who are these people trying to play the corporation game? I mean, that's the way I really look at it, man. Because I know people will sell their soul for anything. Anything people sell their soul. You know, for riches, for money. Go ahead.
No, I just wanted you to know we were back with you. I don't know what happened that we got cut off, but all of a sudden it was like, we're gone.
Oh, gotcha.
So, yeah, we tried to call 5 times before we ever got back in.
Oh, that's it.
So, I don't know what they didn't like about what we were saying, but, you know, people need to comprehend the fact that if you're going to be in the religion, you had better practice the whole part of the religion, because that misleads people when you lie to them. Not to mention the fact that it does damage for centuries and decades. People need to know that a lie is a lie is a lie is a lie. And you do not gain faith and good character by lying. So you have, if the church isn't practicing the whole armor of God, as they say, then I agree with you, Ed. It's a waste of time.
Yeah.
So with that being said, let's see what we have in the listening audience as to any comments.
Sounds like a plan. Open.
Do you want Q&A or do you want just open it up?
Just open it up.
Let's do Q&A.
Okay.
Okay. The elder has spoken, Ed, so we must listen to him.
Q&A session has started.
Q&A, hit *61, and then try to keep any of your questions or comments within 5 to 10 minutes at most. All right. First one. 713.
Hey, this is David Brewster. Just to bring up what I said last week, just to give you all a reminder and also share with the audience. I started a game with my children, and every time I say comprehend, they get 10 extra minutes to play a game. And so far, they've already got 2 hours. So I'm trying to definitely train them not to say understand, because I do not want them to stand under their law. So, and also it's helping me to make sure I say comprehend.
Mm-hmm.
Also, my father passed away June the 28th. While 2 days later after that, the Attorney General decided they found my name in my parents, and I've been sending checks and everything to help them pay for their bills. While I was trying to get things situated for the funeral, I got a call from the bank telling me that they have frozen my parents' account, and they put a lien, and I have 10 days to pay.
Hey, Dave, it sounds like you're muffling.
What?
Sounds like you're muffling.
Oh, I'm muffling?
Not you, the Dave who's talking.
Dave, okay.
I'm sorry, is that better?
Yeah, that's a little better, yeah.
Oh, yes, for that one.
Anyway, while I was trying to prepare for my dad's funeral, the bank called me and told me that the Attorney General's office has frozen my parents' account, and that they put a commercial lien against it. And if I do not contact them within 10 days, they're going to pull the funds out of their account, which is their Social Security checks that I was using to pay for their bills. And they've even sent me a letter with this. Now, I've been occupied with a few other things. That's why I haven't filed the criminal charges yet. Now I've got this additionally. I was thinking of explaining it out from them by attacking it that, one, they have no jurisdiction. Two.
Hey, the first question I got for you. Did your parents ever sign authority over to you?
Authority for what?
For you to use their account and spend their money.
They put me on their account.
No, you didn't hear what I said. Did they ever sign that you have authority? Did they ever sign the executor of their funds or anything to that as like an
power of attorney?
What am I trying to think of?
Power of attorney?
Yeah, power of attorney.
Yes, sir. I had that from my dad.
Okay, now all you have to do is take a copy of that, file that with the court system. Okay, and then whoever's involved that closed that account or seized that account, you want to go through the judge and you want to know that man or woman's personal name, personal bond number, personal bank account information, because what they have done to you, this way you have the ability to go after them for extortion and fraud, because you have a power of attorney, they don't. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir. But you said I was going to need, I want their bond number. I've got the guy's name.
No, you want his bond number and stuff from the bank. The guy is involved in this saying, no, you can't have the money. Say, you're using this information because seeing that he did a criminal act by doing what he has done to you, that's a criminal act.
Yes,
you have power of attorney. You are the sole owner of that account even after they die because you're the power of attorney.
Okay. So I want the guy, the gentleman. I'm sorry, could you say it again?
They don't have any rights.
Okay, but what I was going to ask is, you said I want their bond number and what else?
Oh, yeah, you want his bond number, You want his, what else did I say? Doop, 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 doop. I get so many things going on in my mind at once. You want his bond number. You want his employee identification number. And what was the other thing? Dave, what was the other thing I said? Did you pay attention to what I said? I know there was 3 things I said.
Is what I heard.
Okay. Well, you want his employee identification number from the, you know, and you want any communications that he has personally had with the bank, any personal communication he's had with anybody. So you want to make sure you want all personal communication that this man or woman has had with anybody dealing with your parents' accounts.
Okay. And then I'm going to file charges under what?
Well, first you want to get the information because you want to see where his liability is and where his authority is. That was the other one. You want to put in writing where his authority gives him the right to do this. You want to put that in writing where his authority comes to do this.
Okay.
Because he has to prove his authority, and so that's what you're going after, his authority.
Yeah, they don't like it when you do that, Ed.
Well, I know that, but the main part here is that he's saying that, I'm doing this to protect your parents. They ain't doing it to protect your parents. He's trying to see how much money he can rape and rob from the bank accounts.
Also,
Sure.
y'all said that this, when they hand you like a traffic ticket, I can't speak. That it's like something you can get a. What's that?
I don't know.
Anyway, you said that when they hand you a traffic ticket, that it's like something you can go cash in. Because they sent this to me, could I send this to the Secretary of State trying to collect on it?
Yeah, who's talking?
You can't do anything until you know what he did with the account, or whatever she or he did with the account.
Okay.
Then you have to get his authority, what he's claiming his authority is, or her authority is. Sorry to hear about your loss of your son.
You mean my father?
Oh, your father. Oh, okay. Sorry, I misunderstood that. So is your mom still alive then, or is she gone too?
No, sir, she's still alive, but my brother's trying to be less than dishonorable by having her sign a power of attorney because she's got dementia. So. And,
all right. Well, you need to file that immediately too. That your father gave you a power of attorney, and that anybody else is trying to go after your mother is trying to deplete the funds to put her in a state-run facility.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, I mean, trust me. Family? They're backstabbing. Mother, father, they're all backstabbers. They're all out for the money. I don't have compassion.
I don't either. I'm very teed off. Now I'm supposed to get I was told by the state that I have to get a lawyer, mandatory, to just take my dad's will to get it probated.
No, that's not true. We could do an affidavit and get it done. And then when they sit there and whoever told you at the state, you want them to prove the actual law, not administrative rules. They can't.
Oh, great. Then that'll save me a lot of money.
Yeah, because I mean, you can write your own structure up. You don't need a lawyer that's rape, robbing, and pillaging. That's what I'm writing my other affidavit on, about how attorneys and judges and the court systems, and all, public pretenders and fraud people and all these people make all these illegal and unlawful cases on people for financial gain. Like I'll put up on the wall here a little bit as soon as I finish this thing up. I'll put it up on your wall. But I just filed on the governor of the state of Oregon. I filed treason charges on her.
Yeah, and then also
I'm going after it. This ain't a joke. Either you got to be standing up, or you're not man or woman for your child.
I agree. Oh, yeah. Plus, also, they do not have first-hand knowledge, so I don't see how they could have jurisdiction to even turn around and tell something to a judge. If everything's supposed to be facts, everything they're saying is hearsay. It's secondhand knowledge.
Yeah, I know, and you have to put in that hearsay is not admissible in evidence, and I think I gave you that stuff, didn't I?
No, I don't think so, sir.
Okay, I know I got it in some of the stuff. I'll have to find that and put it up on your wall again, because I believe I could have sworn I did that a few months back, put it on your wall.
I'll see if I can look for it, and if I do find it, then I'll use it. If I don't, if you post it again, I'll make sure I try to add it to my collection. Thank you.
You know, I always have fun, you know. It's like, did she already knock the stuff out I did? Oh, yeah. Reform Family Law Courts, that, it's interesting. Shirley Moore runs. She's a paid person from Obama. Okay? And she does anything with the Democratic Party or stuff. They don't want family court reform. What they want is a public employee funding. That's what gets to me. You know, they don't want to do things right. You know, I mean, I just posted up on her wall, went back to go get that on the structure dealing with the Kate Brown lawsuit and stuff. And it's like a lot of these people I post on the wall, they delete this stuff off. They don't read it. Then they go after and try and attack other people, and they don't even do anything they say they're doing. They're all full of shit. You know? It's all full of BS. That's what just gets to me. So, but yeah, I'll get that to you. And if you go on my Facebook wall, too, I even got the deal where statutes is not law on my Facebook wall right now. Like the third or fourth one down. So this way you can start getting this stuff, putting it together, figuring out how you're going to do your affidavit of fact, proving the affidavit of fact that your father signed, because you didn't do it autograph, he signed, but you want to prove that he signed power of attorney over you, and you want to get that filed and started in court before your other relatives could try to do anything with your mother. You want to get that filed as soon as possible in a court.
Yes, sir, I will.
You know, because once you start getting the ball rolling, you know, then that way, once you get the ball rolling on it, then that way you're the successor, you're not the one behind. If that makes sense. So, and then when I post this up on your wall right now, which I'm doing right now, when you read on the charges and stuff like this, what I filed on Kate Brown, some of that information you might be able to find helpful or useful. Because like I said, I will have the structure of the court system finished here in the next couple of days, and we'll have that posted up for everybody. Let them go argue with their own system. That's what's going to piss them off when I get that one finished. Because that goes right to the Queen of England and right to the Vatican. I like when a cop says, I'm just doing my job. Excuse me, you know, the one thing about that is the Nuremberg trials when the Nazis says, I was just doing my job killing people. You know? Just amazes me. Amazes me. Go ahead, Dave.
No, this is...
go ahead.
I was just going to ask...
I keep forgetting we still got more than one Dave on the show.
I was going to ask David Brister if that pretty much covered what he wanted.
Yes, I greatly appreciate it. I yield.
Okay. So it doesn't appear there's anybody else at the moment. So what do you guys want me to do?
Okay. Well, I'll see if anybody else would like to speak up, and if not, then me and Dave will go back further what we were doing.
If anybody else wants to do Q&A with Dave and Ed, hit star 6.
Hang on, I'll be right back.
But remember, they are not attorneys, they are not lawyers, they do not give legal advice, they are just informing you of information that they have learned throughout their years of studying.
Okay.
This show is for educational purposes only. You enter it at your own risk. Ed and I cannot write your case for you because in court you can only represent yourself. So if you have a situation you are going to go to court on, either you get and hire an attorney, a lawyer, or go to the schools of law and seek the help that they will misguide you on. So do your own research, study to show thyself approved, I believe is what the good book says. So we are here to help you along the way with what we consider to be educational work, which we did through the School of Hard Knocks, which means we had to do our own research, our own studies.
And the other point that I'm putting up right now, dealing with Kate Brown's structure, it's simple. If you're lawful American, print it, autograph it, send it to the Supreme Court in Jeff Sessions. Supreme Court in San Francisco, downtown San Francisco, because we're requesting an indictment hearing. Okay? We want indictments on these people, so I'm asking for a grand jury indictment investigation.
Definitely.
Okay? And so when we do this stuff, then this is how we're going to get things done. When I finish up my structure with the attorneys and the bars and all that, when I get that, we request these things. This is the point when we start requesting these things. This is how it's going to be changed. All right, this is where people don't comprehend it, A lot of people end up in jail, and they're still in jail because they're going through attorneys, and they keep fighting it the way they're told to fight it. In one case, we're still going through, the Bundys, and then the other one with the Continental Marshals and judges that are still in jail. That's the other thing that gets to me. How come people are not comprehending the real facts here of what's going on, of the truth here of what's going on? That's what I just don't comprehend. To me, it just doesn't make sense. How come people are not protecting themselves? Not doing this. It's like, that people get told to hire an attorney. They do that to keep their damn jobs in place. Like I said, they don't love you. They don't care for you. Soon as you accept that, that's like going to church, the pastor is going to care for me. I remember growing up when the pastors actually used to help people out. Sometimes they would open the church up for homeless people. Today, they don't do that at all. And then when you go into the food share programs, there's a 501(c)(3), and the churches are running the food share program, so they're running your Social Security number through that church, so when they're giving you a food box, comprehend the reality here, folks. When they give you a food box, they are writing it off on their taxes. That's a fact. This ain't a joke. It's a fact. They're writing it off on their structure. That is the structure we're living right now today. And they're getting away with it. That's what disturbs me. They're getting away with this crap.
This is their paper.
You know? People got to... Go ahead, Dave.
Here's the thing that people need to really get into, and that is look at the structure that these people have written. Okay, and I'm going to point this out to you, and I'm going to let you do your own research of this. This comes from the Department of Treasury, the Federal Register. It's from the National Archives, Friday, September the 30th, 2005, Part 4. And it deals with 31 CFR Part 306, 315, 353 et al. And it's the general regulations governing U.S. securities, sale and insurance of marketable book entry treasury bill notes and bonds. Final rule. People want to know what's going on. They go into that, and they'll find out for sure what this stuff is all about. It's Federal Registry, Volume 70, number 189, Friday, September 30th, 2005. Their rules, their regulations, they wrote it, we quote it. The Department of Treasury, under their rules, 31 CFR Parts 351, 359, and 363. It deals with United States savings bonds, Series EE and I. And it continues on and on and on and on and on. So people need to comprehend exactly what it is that they are doing. And it includes several pages. So do your history and find out how it is that they are allowed to put out bonds and stuff, but yet we can't get lawful money out of the bank.
Mm-hmm.
So how come the banks can get lawful money, but we can't? Is that because of the Federal Reserve note? You damn well bet it is.
Under federal regulations, published under 50, titled Present to 44 USC.
Well, speak up. Don't talk going that way. If you're going to talk on the phone. Bring it up.
Okay, here it is. Under 50 titles, present to 44 USC 1510, and that's under the Federal Registration, under the Federal Register regarding the documentation that I'm showing David.
Mm-hmm.
They're in columns, like when you're looking at the newspaper, they're in columns, and you can just go on and on and on with all the codes and statutes. It's several pages long.
Oh, that's the point. People need to read this stuff. You don't comprehend it. You can type it in on the internet. There's law schools that actually have written this stuff and put videos on it. You can have the video playing while you go to sleep.
See? Counterclaim.
You're going to sleep to it. You know, that's the one thing that I used to do, is I used to sleep to a lot of this stuff, and so that's how I got to know it so well, because I'd play this stuff when I went to sleep. I wouldn't listen to radios and TV.
That's what I'm telling
you. Know, how did I learn? Playing this stuff. Went to sleep to it. That's one of the ways you do. You know, and also, too, don't forget, your federal government and the FBI and CIA spent $1 billion on that education to see how that psychological stuff does really work.
I can't see that.
It does.
CPO.
You know, so it is all about proper education and knowledge.
U.S. government.
You know, and so the other point is that the one question that he was going on, and like I said, You know, you have the instrument. You need to file that on recording in the record. Another point is you need to put the affidavit claiming that up, file it in the museums, put it on the city hall, put it in the county clerk on their bulletin board.
Well, here's from the state of Florida Rules of Civil Procedure, page 23 of 161 pages. This tells you how long these things are. This thing deals with the committee notes on rules on sham pleadings, motions to strike, contents of motion. It shows you how to do it. Motions, counterclaims, and cross claims, and it goes on and on and on and on. So people need to study their state's rules of civil procedure and learn the process that you can use against them. If you use their own rulings, their own rules, their own regulations, they're done.
Here's the definition.
Mm-hmm. And that is the whole point. They are done. You know, and it's up to you to do it. I mean, trust me, I'm putting I've had people say, oh my God, Ed, when I read what you filed on the governor, they're going to kill you. Fuck, they've been trying to kill me for the last 12 years. It's on record. They poisoned me. They shot at me. They try to beat me to death. They try to have me die in a hospital when I'm having a heart attack. You know, they try to let me die in the jail when I was having a heart attack. So, hello, you know, let me tell you about your Bible. So, you know, that's the one thing, you know. And people say, oh, well, in the Bible, the devil was written in the Bible so that way we could have two sides. Well, let me tell you something. I would hate to know your God because your God put the devil there to put a balance out. How redundant and ridiculous is that when you really think about it? That's not a God. God is supposed to protect you, to take care of you, not to sit there and do the root of all evil on you and to backstab you in the middle of the night with whatever. You know? What? You can't go out and educate yourself and pay attention and be aware of real world and the real life? That's what scares me about people. You know? Go ahead, Dave.
I'm just looking at page 342 of 31 CFR Chapter 11, 7.1.12 edition. The definition, a bond or Series E or HH savings bond is used in this part, means definitive U.S. savings bond of Series EE or HH. Converted bonds means a savings bond originally issued as a definitive bond that has been surrendered to us and converted to a bank entry savings bond to be maintained by the Treasury solely as a computer record. Incomplete means an individual who is incapable of handling his or her business affairs because of a legal, mental, or medical disability, except that a minority is not an incompetent solely because of age. And this goes on, Ed, and here's another part of this. I want to move over here. J, registration means that the names of all persons named on the bond and the taxpayer's identification number, EIN, of the owner, pay attention, of the owner, not the government, the owner, full name, co-owner or purchaser of a gift bond are maintained on our records. Reissue means the cancellation and retirement of a bond and the insurance of a new bond or bonds of the same series, same issue date, and same total face amount. representatives of the estate of a minor, incompetent, aged person, absentee at all, means the court appointed or otherwise qualified persons, regardless of title, who is legally authorized to act for the individual. The term does not include parents in their own right, voluntary or natural guardians of the executors of administration of decedent's estate. And this thing goes on about the Federal Reserve Bank, the branches of the bank, the authority of the agents. You got to get this thing and read it.
That means turning off the TV of your favorite TV program. Educate yourself. Because if we were actually educated as we were supposed to be, we wouldn't be in the problems we are today in this country.
That's right. And here's one on the authority, according to them, under Rules and Regulations, Federal Registry, Volume 77, Number 2, Wednesday, January the 4th, 2012, page 213. And this goes on to offerings of United States Savings Bond Series EE. The authority cited as Part 351 continues to read as follows. Authority 5 U.S.C. 301, 12 U.S.C. 391, 31 U.S.C. 3105. 2. Revise 351.65 to read as follows. 351.65. What amount of book entry Series EE savings bond may I acquire per year? The principal amount of the book entry Series EE savings bond that you may acquire in a calendar year is provided at $363.52. Now, when they write a law and they quote something, they have to put what that is immediately following.
Wait a
so
minute.
You don't misunderstand it. What were you saying, Ed?
Were you talking law or statute or codes?
Well, this is both, it seems to me, because 5 U.S.C. 301 is U.S. code.
Okay, I'm just bringing that up so people could get to know the separation of the difference.
Mm-hmm. So when they're going in to remove a series 351.66, that's paragraph. Pertaining to it. Yep. So, yeah, people need to start reading and comprehending exactly what it is that we're talking here.
A lot to learn.
That's true.
That's the reason why I'm saying that they need to get in and start studying what has been written relating to stocks, bonds, currencies, all of this stuff. We all know that, number one, the Constitution created the legislative, executive, judicial branches of government. Those are dead entities. In name only they exist. They only function with the election, appointed, or hired public employee to make them work. That is not the government. That is our elected and public servants. The Constitution says, we the people. In other words, the men and women of the United States hereby approve legislative, executive, and judicial branches. In other words, the people are the first branch of government. The government did not create us. We created them. And the natural person, and Michelle just handed me this, under 353.6, registration, and it deals with natural person. only individuals, hold on a minute, I gotta take my glasses off so I can read this. Only an individual in his or her own right may be designated as co-owner or beneficiary along with any other individual, whether on original issue or reissue, except as provided under, and this is in very, very small letters, 353.7. So now they have, see, we're in 353.6, but they're dealing with 353.7F, which is written after this.
Yep.
So how can they write something before it's written?
That's the more of this.
Yeah.
And they're explaining you when you use the word natural.
Michelle, you gotta talk to the phone, not the background.
Well, she was talking to me.
Well, no, she's either talking on the phone or we can't listen to the background.
Well, the thing of it is, she was pointing out to me that all of this stuff under 353.6 goes to what I just read you on the bond issuance.
Right.
Hmm? And remember, folks, the city, counties, and these men and women are supposed to have bonds, and you want to file on them for their bond numbers, for their information, even for their Social Security numbers, because by the IRS code, they are not protected, because they are an IRS agent collecting taxes, so they are not protected, and they have to give you their Social Security number. That's by the IRS code.
Yeah, under B under this, I'm going to continue reading here. Residence, the designation of an owner or a first name co-owner is restricted on original issue only to person, whether individual or others, who are residents of the United States, its territories or possessions, or the Commonwealth of Puerto Rico. So that means this whole thing falls under the federal zone.
Isn't Puerto Rico not part of the United States?
Puerto Rico is a holding territory belonging to the United States.
Well, yeah, but that's under by administrative rule under the IRS code. That's not part of the 48 states.
It's not. That's what I'm saying. It's part of the federal zone. Federal zone means Washington, D.C.,
right,
New York City, Guam, Puerto Rico, Virgin Islands, the holding territories belonging to the United States, of which Puerto Rico is a holding territory. And that's why it's specified as the federal zone. Anything in the Union States is a republic.
That's right.
That's what we fall under.
And that's what you and I fall under, Edward.
We're not following under federal zone because that is different than a 48 state of republic.
That's right.
It's
That's
just federal
exactly
zone.
what I got you saying. So
that's where the state is violating our rights.
And that's a good point, Michelle. Michelle just pointed out that's where the states are violating our rights, because our state legislatures think that anything that Congress does applies to the Union states. No, it does not. It has to be constitutional to apply to the Union states. Anything unconstitutional does not apply to us. That's why the Democratic Party, or shall I say Democratic Party, okay, don't get it. When they say we have a republic, or a democracy, they have committed treason against the Constitution.
They don't want us to go forward.
And lied.
And that's why they lie and don't want us to move forward. Because they want us under the control of the British government. That's why Hillary Clinton, had she been elected, was prepared to turn the United States over to, Her Majesty. And if you look at the whistleblowers document, and Michelle just got this back from the whistleblower's office, and their seal, it says Treasury, International, or Internal, Internal Revenue Service. It doesn't say United States Department of the Treasury. It doesn't say United States Internal Revenue Service. It just says Department of Treasury, Internal Revenue Service, Washington, D.C., and that is a fraud in the inducement because they want everybody to think because this seal is on this paperwork and it says Department of Treasury, Washington, D.C., that it pertains to the United States, when in reality, it is a frigging lie. So whenever you see anything from the Internal Revenue Service, the Internal Revenue Service is connected to the IMF, and the Internal Revenue Service out of Puerto Rico, they are unregistered foreign agents. So they don't have any jurisdiction over us, come hell or high water.
The other valid point that we want to bring out, if you have any contact with any of your public servants, make sure that you file for their registration under the Foreign Registration Act, the 1938 Fair Act. Because by law, if they're not registered, it's a crime.
That's right.
And that's what I just filed on the governor of Oregon.
Good deal.
You know? And that's where you people, you've got to stand up and comprehend this stuff. You know, because remember, these people don't love you. Most of them don't even love their own kids because the structure going back to England, people were taught by the British government when your kid's 18, throw them on the street and let them wish some prayer and have a good luck. In this country, parents used to take care of their kids when they lived on the farm. And if not, they didn't live in the house with the parents. They built a side house off the barn. You know, they always had some room for the kids to go, even though it might not be in their own home, but it was always on the property. Look at real history, folks. Now I'm talking real history. That's the point. People don't look at real history. We get taught this stuff, and how women are always beaten, abused. You know, women are not always beaten, abused. That is the frustration that really irks me. You know, because we watch all this stuff that goes on. All right, some countries, some states in the Union, all right, some of them were allowed to get away with beating their women, but the average didn't do it. So trying to say that we were all equal? I'm not paying for somebody else's ancestors' sins. It's like when somebody says, oh, the blacks were enslaved and we ought to pay the blacks and all that. No way. My parents, to my knowledge, were not involved. My grandparents were not involved. Not my responsibility. You know, it's the people that were directly involved in that liability. And that's where the people have got to wake up and start standing up on that. Standing up to that fact and making that a reality. You know, I mean, and we wonder why kids have problems today. They're not educated. They're not intelligent. They've been brainwashed so stupid, and they're so stupid when it comes down to it. I mean, I've even tried to have kids even paint some things for me. And what got to me is they couldn't even paint. You know, they didn't know how to paint. And oh, yeah, I know how to paint. I do this. Well, just because you saw it on TV doesn't mean you know how to do it. You know. That is the one thing. People see stuff on TV, they think they can do it. You know, it's like watching Superman or Hulk Hogan or something like that. Oh, I could be the Hulk. I could be this. Excuse me, you know. Sometimes miracles do happen, but unless you work on it, it doesn't happen. You know. So, but the one thing I like to add, there's a lot of new stuff on the website that me and Dave have been working on. We got more new information up there. We're working on setting up a new structure with the videos. So, you know, and please do that. And when it comes to Red Skeleton, please pass that video around on your Facebook walls, too. Because once the foreigners realize, because remember, a lot of immigrants A lot of immigrants came here for their life. They knew what they were doing. They were there to protect their bloodline. They knew the structure. And even in my filing, the Supreme Court says, and in my filing on one of the instruments I did in this filing, and the Supreme Court has come out on many, many stuff saying that 5 or more generations is lawful. And I get people all the time going, oh, that doesn't mean nothing. You know, anybody has a right to this country because we're a democracy. Folks, we're not a democracy. You take that devil Bible and take it back to England. We don't want it. You know, we're lawful bloodline Americans, and we have immigration that are supposed to respect coming into this country. And the original immigration law states that we are supposed to know the neighbors that come into our area and our neighborhood. And if the neighbors don't like that neighbor, they are to be shipped out, not to another part of the states or the country. They are to be shipped out of this country back to their homeland. It's called reject. And that's real. It does exist. It's in the Constitution. It's in congressional records. And that's the point that we need to get our public servants starting to stand back and protecting the country compared to doing terrorist activities. As I filed on Kate Brown, the governor, and if you agree with that, autograph it if you're a lawful bloodline American. If you're a legal citizen, sign it and send it to Jeff Sessions in Washington, D.C. Send it to the investigation unit of the grand jury in San Francisco called the Ninth Circuit Court. They start getting this stuff, then they're going to start listening. Go ahead.
Yeah, they just need to be woke up. I think they're sitting there waiting on the American people to wake up so that they actually can do something, especially Department of Justice.
And I've been told that by people in it, and the agency, and certain judges in the federal agencies. I've been told that, and they say they can't do that because right now, if they stand up against the what they call the good old boy system, they're afraid of being knocked off because the people ain't backing them. That means you ain't supporting them.
Well, that's why the American people need to stand up and be counted. If you think somebody else is going to do this for you, you better wake up, buddy, because they're not. There's too many people still asleep in the United States, and they do not have the fortitude to get off their dead butt and study and find out what's really happening.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm telling you right now, the judge is not the court. The Joint Chiefs of Staff have been screwed over by the system to where they've put in Democrats to run the country. The Joint Chiefs of Staff, I'm not even sure the Joint Chiefs of Staff anymore have enough intelligence to know the difference between a democracy and a republic. And it's only when they're going to learn the difference between them they'll realize how the Democratic Party has swindled this nation through their ideology and all the other crap they're putting out.
Mm-hmm.
Much respect for Democrats, I really don't, because in my opinion they have ruined this nation.
But
I don't have respect for people who can't stand up for the bloodline.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the other point that people don't comprehend about the Democrats, they're the founding structure of the KKK.
That's true.
Read it. Look at it. Why do you think at the congressional hearing and the congressional structure with Donald Trump, all the Democrat women were dressed in white?
Why is it that the Democratic Party receives a majority of its funding from foreigners?
Mm-hmm. How come they're registered as KKK?
That's a good point, too. So,
Go ahead, Dave. I'm sorry.
I'm just trying to figure out what it is with Donald, because when right after Donald was elected, and they brought all these Democrats and and women's rights activists and all that, and paraded, had their little parade sponsored by the Muslim majority. White people didn't catch on to that then. Then it dawned on me, they don't know the difference. They're led by a hog with a ring in his nose around, blindly following the blind. So until you break that chain of stupidity, this stuff's going to continue.
And your children are stolen.
The only way I know to do it is just call it like it is and say it like it is. You either have to smarten up, or you're going to be in the FEMA camp, honey. And when they're done with you, they're going to chop your head off to lower the population. That is what the UN wants to do, and the Pope and the Vatican, so they can control you. Anybody that's got any kind of resistance to what they want is going to get their head chopped off. Why do we need FEMA camps in this country? Would somebody please explain why we need FEMA camps? Who is that the benefit for? Anybody ever asked a question?
Right.
So if you're in a FEMA camp and you are forced to do what you're told, is that of your own free will?
Well, it could be by some.
Not in my book, it's not.
No, but the sheep like to go over the hill and follow the leader.
Well, that's true. That's true.
That's why I said some like it, you know. You know, because some people are so afraid to speak up. That's the point. You know, I remember growing up and people would always tell me, oh, throw yourself on the mercy of the court. And I used to say, what the hell, the mercy? What? Oh, babe, please beg for forgiveness. And I keep going, Jesus Christ, are people that stupid? You know? I mean, I've been in courts where I sat there and argued with a judge, and I've had other people in the room trying to tell the judge this, that, and the other thing, and the judge looks at him and tells them finally to shut up and let the guy speak. He knows what he's doing. And I was 16 years old.
There you go.
I mean, I got myself comprehending things young and not playing this game.
Oh, yeah.
See, when it really comes down to it, folks, it's up to you either to protect your bloodline or to turn it over. You know, and then when you turn it over, you know, we get tired of listening to these people, oh, we want this or we want to do that. Well, if you do it, do it. You know, I mean, I've been through things with people, several people over the last 7 months. You know, been involved with them doing this, that, and the other thing. Some didn't get their way, what they thought was going to be their way. Let me tell you, that's the way it is, because I tell them point blank, here's the way it works. I don't do anything else. You know, and then they want to get involved and tell me this, that, and the other thing. And I just get so frustrated, you know, because it just disturbs me, because people are not comprehending the real truth of what's really going on in the world. You know?
I mean, simple facts are simple facts. Were you born or were you birthed?
Or were you hatched?
What is your birthday? Or was it, what is your born day? Were you born as of Christ, or were you birthed as a ship at sea, tied to a dock? You see, it's all in the wording and the fraud by trickery, how to get you to think. Happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you.
Now, me and Dave want you all to know we're patenting the thing Happy Born Day.
Yes.
So we just announced it today. We patented it. We own it. So anytime you use the word born, make sure you say it 5 times.
Happy born day to you. Happy born day to you. Happy born day. Happy born day. Happy born day to
You were born and not hatched, and you were not birthed.
How can you be birthed when being born is of blood and water? Where birth is sea, ocean, and bodies of water only. So who is born and who is birthed? Ships are christened. Children are baptized. But what are they? They're both water, aren't they?
Right.
So, and then you get that little slip of paper. Oh, on this day, this child was baptized. Oh my. Boy, did they go to every length possible to hide it. And in plain sight, which is where they always hide things. Plain sight. Harder to disguise. Just like the gold fringe flag, yet they fly it in public.
I know. You know, and people just go, "Oh, that's acceptable. I live with it."
That gold fringe flag is so pretty. Look at that. That really adds something to the flag. You know, it does. Yeah, it does. It desecrates the flag. Executive Order 10834 by Dwight David Eisenhower. Read it. Every court in this country who flies a gold fringe flag falls under military regulation. And what does that do to their jurisdiction, Ed? To the lawful bloodline American.
They have none.
They have a zero.
Absolutely none. And it's up to you to file your bloodline. Now, I'll have the template up for the ones that are going to be having their children birth, so that way, slap me in the face, born. And it'll be written clearly, so the definition of birth and born is in the template. So that way there cannot be a conflict of interest or stupidity from any man, woman, or child.
And remember, Edward, doesn't that fall under Hale versus Hinkle? We have a right to conduct our own business in our own way without government interference. And then there's the 16th American Jurisprudence, second edition, which very plainly says any law written in violation of this Constitution is as though it were never written, and no one is obligated to obey it. And remember, we put out an affidavit of truth for public record criminal action complaint, violation of Article 3 of due process. We never got a confirmation from our elected and public servants on this document, which I wrote and submitted to them for approval in the form of an affidavit. So what I need to do now is send them and I think these things which are on here, and I think we put this up on our walls too, if I remember right, when I wrote this. And this includes the judge is not the court, False Claims Act. There's a whole bunch of stuff in here. So people need to look at that affidavit of truth, public record, criminal action complaint, Article 3 violation of due process, and print it out.
Use it.
Cut, copy, and paste it, and make a copy for yourself. When you file or use this document never just write a letter to the court. Make it an affidavit.
Never put a motion in.
Well, most definitely.
You know, by the way, I want to clarify, Dave and I are not attorneys. As me, I've been hit by that turnip truck. I'm still hanging on the bumper. It's a hell of a ride, but it's having fun. You know, we're not attorneys. We're not giving illegal advice. We're not giving any type of advice to anybody. You're an adult. You're responsible. And we have that sometimes it takes a little time for the light go off in people's head where they correlate these things. But until you feel confident in yourself, do not try to take that into and act on something until you feel at least 60% confident in yourself, in your own being. If you don't know yourself, you cannot stand up for yourself. And that takes a while to have patience to get to know your own circumstances. You know, so this is the one thing about life, folks. It's about proper education. I mean, I know right now I'm putting out the structure dealing with the recall on Cape Brown that I started. I know other people were trying to do the same thing. Other people are, people are asking them on theirs if this is real or if this is a joke. I've been seeing that going around. When you know mine, I have the affidavit I filed on the governor. It's been filed in the Secretary of State, the State Attorney General's office, the governor's office herself. I mean, I filed this. I'm not going out there and doing pleadings or saying, oh, well, the court can't do this and the court can't do that. I'm telling them what they're doing.
Right.
You know? Because I know they're going to either, shoot me or I'm telling the truth, folks. If you lie, you die. I don't lie, so that's the problem. Even in my relationships, I couldn't sit there and play the lie game, you know, or the little white lie that people say, oh, well, you got to do that in a relationship so that way it works. It's like, no. Pisses me off when people do that. Either you're honest or not. You know, and that's the way life really works. Either you're honest or you're not. You know, I mean, it's one thing even from when I was working. You know, I couldn't sell my soul to the company store. I couldn't lie. When I was a mechanic, I wouldn't sell people what they didn't need. I knew mechanics in shops did that regularly. I know people that, you know, were sold rotors when all they needed is their rotors just turned. But it was cheaper to buy the rotor and charge them twice as much than it was actually to do the work on it. Because turn rotors way back then in the day was like $15 a piece. You get a reconditioned one for $30 and you charge them $40 for it. You know, I mean, it was labor. I mean, you know, just how much they could rape, rob, and pillage. You know, even restaurants do that even today. Some restaurants, they tell you it's butter when it's margarine. You know, I don't eat margarine. Number one cancer-causing agent in the food industry, margarine. And that was even proved in the late 70s. The TV commercials in the late 70s were coming out and telling people that. And let me tell you, I do miss it when we only had about a dozen TV stations compared to the 400 we got today. They got you guys going to so many different channels, you don't even know what the hell you're watching. You know, I can't believe people sit down and watch hunting and fishing channels. I'd much rather be out doing it, not watching it.
Me too, Ed.
You know, I mean, you know, that's the point. You know, going out in the woods, why am I going to sit there with a fake fireplace on a TV set and call that romantic? You know, I can't do my mindset that way. I can't brainwash my mind to be stupid.
That's right.
You know?
Like well, you know, in what we were just talking about, the you as the claimant are to petition the government officials for redress of grievance on Article 3, Section 3, claim, and on order by and through the Court of Records on violations against the claimant's due process rights under color of law under violation of Rule 1, Rule 4, Rule 484, under authority of misconduct for violation under Rule 38 of Title 42, USC Section 1983, and Title 42, USC Section 1985. An action for deprivation of rights and for a conspiracy act to interfere with civil rights, Title 11, commencing an action, service of process, pleadings, motions, and creeds. And therefore, a bloodline American, natural American, sovereign, a crime victim, corpus delicti, hereby moves for violation under unclean hands through acts of Title 18 U.S.C. Section 1001 and trickery, lies, and deception through intrinsic fraud, extrinsic fraud, through violations of Rule 38, judicial misconduct, acting under authority of high crimes. Then you put the notice of dishonor to them, etc., etc., etc. Maybe then the judges, lawyers, and attorneys will wake up and go, oh, crap. We made a mistake.
I know they're going to be doing that when I put my filing together on the court system.
Mm-hmm.
Tying the court system to the Vatican, to the damn Bible, because when you go into that court system, they are trying you as, what do they call that? What does that call that? Oh, a Christian!
Well, then again, Ed, this all goes back under that Federal Registry, Volume 63, Number 4. Wednesday, March 11th, 1998, Rules and Regulations. Part 161, General Enforcement Provisions, and then you just read that. Gives the scope of it and everything.
Yep.
So, once you do your homework, you comprehend what paperwork you have to file, how you have to word it, and wording is everything. If you misword something and don't know what in the world you're doing,
or know what the word is,
they will eat you alive.
Because sometimes I write words and people go, well, you misspelled the word, and it's like, no. Go look in, what do they call that, the dictionary, and look at what the word means. So I might use a different syllable in the word, but go look at the dictionary what it means.
Yeah, you got the city of, here's a court case Michelle also just handed me, City of Dallas versus Mitchell.
Oh, yeah.
245 SW, 944, 945 through 946, Texas Civil Appeal, Dallas, 1922. And it deals with the rights of an individual. Okay, are derived from government agencies, either municipal, state, or federal, or even from the Constitution. So see, they say, oh, well, what was it? They're trying to say the Constitution was given over to the corporation back when? Well, hey, 1922, what was that other date? 1993, I think it was. Here's 2006. They're still quoting the Constitution as though it's... Well, if the incompetents are saying, oh, that was given over to the, no, I don't think you'll find that it was ever given over to the corporation to do anything with. Because the corporation was formed by an act of treason against the Constitution.
That's like saying the IRS tax law passed when it didn't. I'm arguing with people on the internet, and I even produced the actual evidence to prove what they said was a lie. And they're going, oh, no, that doesn't matter. That's not what the IRS code says. And I quoted them the IRS code.
Yeah, how many times have you heard it said, well, are you trying to overthrow the government? Well, you and I both have said time and time and time again, you can't overthrow yourself.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah,
so,
no,
but we can overthrow the elected and public servants for treason against the Constitution, for, oh God, just name it. Look at, I mean, they wrote the laws, we quote it. So don't blame me. Don't blame me when you screw up and you violate your own rules, regulations, codifications.
You're the liable party.
That's right. And for those of you who say, oh, well, we have diplomatic immunity or we have sovereign immunity, I'm sorry, but once you went bankrupt, you gave up your sovereign anything. You are no longer sovereign. So any of that BS that you can't be held accountable as a judge, lawyer, attorney, or office holder or an employee went out the window the minute your corporation went bankrupt, because that's who you all work for, is a corporation. And the money that they're borrowing against the good names, good faith, and credit of the American men and women is actually the money you owe us. We don't owe you to pay it. You owe us because you didn't have the authority to take it in the first place.
That is a big point there. You didn't have the authority even to think about it.
So if I remember, the United States of America, DBA, a federal corporation, 28 U.S.C. at 3002, definition 15, the United States means a federal corporation. I do believe corporations are dead entities. So how can a corporation borrow money?
Not only that, an attorney can represent a corporation, and that's it. Nobody else can be involved.
And what all does he have to bring to court when he represents them, Ed?
Oh, their charter.
Their charter, their bond, their business license.
Right. So if you write your affidavit and you're claiming your bloodline and you own you, when you go to court, you can actually be an attorney because you can represent yourself by law. Mm-hmm. All right. Their administrative role says there's no such thing as an attorney, and you can be your own attorney. So you take your affidavit that you filed in the court, and you're going, I'm here representing this fact. Nobody's disagreed with me, Your Honor, and you always make sure you give it to the Honor within 30 days before you even get to court.
Oh, most definitely. You want it filed in the clerk's office and stamped. And not with just a stamp. You want that raised seal on there, that round little seal they put on there.
You want that one definitely.
U.S. versus Lindsay Springer, 8-278, 09 CR 043. The people are not derived from the government, as the government authority comes from the people. Without revenue districts, there is no delegation of authority. The revenue officer or revenue agents are not the Secretary of the Treasury, nor are the commissioners of the Internal Revenue Service. And states' rights, treaties do not supersede the Constitution. Federal Reserve notes under application for notes at 412 are unconstitutional. So application for notes at 412, collateral required, the collateral security thus offered shall be promissory notes, bonds, bills of exchange, checks, etc., being used as collateral security. Federal Reserve notes are not legal considerations, as Article 1, Section 8 says. So what we have is a counterfeiting ring by all banks, by the Treasury Department, and, oh gee, who else? Savings and loans, credit unions.
Elected and public servants.
There you go. So, comprehend it for people, the anything other than coins, 100 pennies, 10 dimes, 20 nickels, 4 quarters, 2 50-cent pieces, or silver dollars are legal or lawful currency. Legal currency is the Federal Reserve note.
2 bits is legal.
It's traded on the currency exchange, whereas lawful money does exist in the form of coins.
Mm-hmm.
So, not my problem, dude, that you're stupid. Wake up.
No, wait a minute. You got people that say you can't call somebody stupid because it hurts their feelers.
Well, no, I'm sorry, but if we're trying to wake them up, isn't that what we're trying to do, Ed?
No, we are doing it. Not trying to wake up.
If we actually call them stupid and they didn't think they were stupid, but yet they didn't comprehend what I just got through saying about the Federal Reserve note, the banks and the Queen and all that stuff, you have to remember that the Vatican owns the treasury of Great Britain. They are the Great Britain Treasury is the Vatican because of the extortion placed upon I think it was King Henry at his deathbed. Oh, I'll forgive you of your sins if you turn over your treasury to me. So let's see, was King Henry extorted by the Vatican? You damn betcha they were.
Yeah. Because King John was.
So wherever it started, I forgot. But, I mean, this is crazy. United States versus Blixt. B-L-I-X-T. Blixt, I think that's how you pronounce that. 548 F3D 882, 887, 888, Ninth Circuit, 2008. The Ninth Circuit held that a forged signature constitutes a means of identification. The definition in Blixt forged her supervisor's names on company checks in the midst of a fraudulent scheme. The court held that the signature was a name within the means of 18 U.S.C. at 1028 round brackets D, round brackets 7, round brackets A, period. When considering Blixt, it is important to keep in mind that the the signature there identified as specific individual, the supervisor who was otherwise authorized to sign the checks, if in context the forged signature did not identify a specific and real individual, the signature would not be a name within the meaning of 18 U.S.C. at 1028, round brackets, small letter D, round brackets 7, and A, capital A, rounds brackets.
Mm-hmm.
I guess what it's trying to say is you can't be an imposter and expect anything to be lawful or legal. Lawful. Because being from a union state, everything has to be lawful, not legal.
And remember, folks, when they talk civil law, that's British law on this soil.
And the preamble to the Constitution, last paragraph, we are to have nothing to do with the British government. So why are we practicing British law in American courts? Especially barristers.
Yeah, excuse me. And everybody should like this one. Apparently Oregon is going to decriminalize meth, cocaine, and heroin.
Well, Rule 12 defined the definitions and objectives. When and how presented, motion for judgment on the, whatever it was, page 1 of 12.
Defenses.
Defenses. Oh, okay. Then it gives a website. I'm sorry, I misread this thing. But then you can also search Cornell Law, educational search, Federal Rules of Civil Procedure Rules, Title 3, Pleadings and Motions, Title 12, Defenses and Objections, when and how to present, motion for judgment on the pleading, consolidating motions, waiving defenses, pretrial hearings. And this document is extremely important to you if you're going to go to court.
Yep.
So you can go to www.cornell.edu/rules/FRCP, all lowercase, by the way, /rules_12. And this little puppy ought to pop up for you to read and print out. It's 12 pages. You need to look at it. You need to know it. You need to study it.
That's true. It's up to you to know.
Ed and I can't do this for you people. We can only tell you what they wrote, when they wrote it, how they wrote it, and how it applies to you. So if you're going into court against the IRS or whoever you're going in against, you better know your case, because you're the one that has to defend it. Nobody else is going to write this for you.
No attorney is against the bar.
That's right. The American Bar Association is the one that people should be suing to wake them up to the fact that, hey, you want to play your game with your British crap in this country, then, hey, we're going to hold you accountable. Mm-hmm. And when that starts happening in numbers,
we'll see changes.
Mm-hmm. Michelle just handed me another thing called Notes of Advisory Committee on Rules, 1937. Notice to subdivision A, 1 point, compare former
on our website
former Equity Rule 12, issue of subpoena, time to answer, and 31, reply when required, when calls at issue. 4, Montana Revised Code Anna, 1935 at 9107, 9158, New York CPA, at 1937 at 263, and New York RCP, Rules of Civil Procedure, 1937, Rule 109 at 101. 2 U.S.C. Title 28 at 763, now 547. And that deals with petitions against the United States. Service, appearances by the district attorney, provisions of the United States, defendants, They have 60 days in which to answer or otherwise defend. And it goes on and on. So you have a notice of dishonor. You have a notice of dishonor once they fail to respond within, what does it say there? 60 days. But they're forgetting one small thing, Edward. They only have 20 days because they're a corporation.
That's very true. And don't forget, you file your stuff, too, with Judicial Fitness Committee, the Lawyers Bar, and the Washington, D.C. Attorneys and Judges Fitness Committee.
Here's the other part of this, too, Ed. How to present defenses. Every defense to a claim for relief in any pleading must be asserted in the respective pleadings if one is required. But a party may assert the following defense by motion: lack of subject matter jurisdiction, lack of personal jurisdiction, improper virtue. Let's see here. I think there's more to this. Oh, yeah, here we go. Insufficient process, insufficient service of process, failure to state a claim on which relief can be granted. Oh, that's 12b-6, I do believe. A failure to join a party under Rule 19, Federal Rules of Civil Procedure, Rule 19. And then motions asserting of these defenses must be made before pleading if the responsive pleading is allowed. And how many times have people gone into court with pleadings and the judge said, "Oh, we can't honor your evidence." Oh, did you file it with the clerk of the court before you went into court? And a lot of these judges, even if you did follow procedures, and they still rule against you because, oh my God. Yeah, here's your conflict in law, Ed. Rule 12, defense and objectives, page 1 of 12. In general, otherwise, another time is specified by this rule of the federal statute. The time for serving a responsive pleading is as follows. A defendant must serve an answer. 1, within 21 days after being served with the summons and the complaint. Right. So we went from 60 days to 21 days. Under Federal Rules of Civil Procedure, Title III. So if anybody says, "Well, I got 60 days," blow it out your...
And this is the whole point, educating you so you know your education. Sleep it, live it. Because if you don't, nobody else will.
And that brought up my point I brought to the federal, or to the U.S. Supreme Court and Donald Trump, which I am in the process of writing a notice of deficiency on his behalf, that I submitted to you claims and you failed to respond. That makes Mr. Trump in contempt of court.
Right.
As well as the Supreme Court, because they were noted too, as was the Department of Justice. So I got the DOJ, I got Mr. Trump, I've got, well, let's just say I have them all. Contempt of court.
And let me clarify to a lot of people again, you know, if you are immigrant, you have privileges. I get these people all says, "I have rights, I have this, I have that." No, you don't. When you come to this country, the Constitution, and people say, the Constitution ain't your instrument. Well, it's called elected and public servants, and it's our instrument to protect us. We the people. And the other people who don't get it, you know, it's very frustrating. You know, they don't get it. They don't comprehend what the truth is. And they want us to sit there and speak stuff. You know, I get all these people that, you know, I got some things that are being said to me now. Oh, quit trying to divide people with the Bible and stuff. Bible was written by man, folks. You know? I love this. Jesus divides goats and sheep. Right. There's no J in the Hebrew language.
Right.
How come people can't see the truth?
Mhm.
You know, it just amazes me. You give them the evidence, and they don't want to see it because if they had to change their way of thinking and change the truth, oh, that's right, they couldn't tell their children they lied to them.
How true it is.
Mhm. That's the point. You know, you can't sit there and say, I fucked up because of my own education. You know, that's the whole point, you know. We learned because our own education was wrongfully taught to us. We could say, hey, we had judgment of errors. We had to learn.
Sure.
So because of my learning, let me try to explain to you now.
That's right.
You know, that is so frustrating because people can't admit they duck up, you know.
Yep.
You know, and it's so easy to say, hey, I didn't have the knowledge to this, and my knowledge that I thought I had wasn't really correct. I had to relearn what the truth was.
Well, that's why they have what they call the educational system, the dumbing down of America.
They've been very good with that over the last generation. You know, I mean, it's like everybody keeps saying, oh, the United States is a British colony. And I keep asking people to show me proof, and I keep proving to them that I can prove the proof where congressional records said this. This is what the funding did. This is what this and that did. And they go, well, that has nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
You know, the Civil War had nothing to do with it. I'm like, the South fought for the British government. It's in real history. The original 12 flag, the Jack flag, the Union Jack, what they call the Jack flag. The one is sitting in London, England, and water downtown in a frame, and it's called the war flag, and it's right there, says it right there in the museum.
Oh my.
Most of the museum pictures and the structure on that, a couple years ago and a few months back again. And, you know, people were arguing with me going, well, that doesn't mean nothing. That doesn't prove nothing.
Yeah.
You know, and they want to argue about with the South to me. And I've been arguing with people about the South structure. And it's like, here's it. Remember March 27th, 18, March 27th, 1863, the South walked out. Okay? And then they wanted to charge us, what was it? Property taxes, income tax, and tariff fees. And the North said no. Then I argued with people about Lincoln. Oh, Lincoln was an attorney. He couldn't have been there. If it wasn't for Lincoln, who fought to save the Constitution, who went against the British structure as an attorney because he knew the 13th Amendment was passed and ratified.
Right.
You know, read his memoirs. Read some of the stuff that compared to what people are trying to loot out there in the general public, trying to cause people to have heartaches and stuff. You know, there are stuff in real history that is real history compared to what people want to argue about. I mean, the other point is, what the hell are we arguing about on most of the things anyways, because doesn't it say you have a constitutional right so long as that there's no injured party. Immigration has privileges, 2 rights, so long as they pay their taxes and administrative fees. They're paying it until they become lawful. They can't be messed with. It's not that they can just go make a living off the people like they're doing, and then writing it off on the end on, 501c3 taxes? Because remember, all your police department, all your government agencies, they privatize most of them, but they're all non-profits.
This is what they need to do.
How could your government be a non-profit? Isn't it your government? Are you a non-profit? I'm not. I used to be trying to be a non-profit, but the state of Oregon sent me all my non-profit paperwork and says, sorry, you cannot be a non-profit. You're not legal. So that's right, I'm lawful. There's a difference. So being lawful, I couldn't be a 501c3. Which is fine with me. But like I said, me and Dave have been through the hard knocks on this stuff. And that's why we're trying to get you guys to see this, because if you don't protect your bloodline, there's nobody else going to protect the bloodline. And that's what I'm doing right now, is I'm posting this around on Facebook right now with the structure of Kate Brown's recall and the charges I just filed on her. Okay, and it's been served in the Supreme Court. It's been served in the Ninth Circuit District Court. It's been served in a few other courts because I'm going after this. Okay, I've got 10 more, or 9 or 10 more I've got to finish up in the next 10 days on this. So, I want to get these other ones out, because once I start getting these other ones out and I start getting them all filed in the court, I'm ready to go have a wing-ding, and anybody's been affected, they're the witness to the court. But you have to know what you're talking about to even go to court to talk about.
That's for sure. I say that's for sure.
And it doesn't matter if you're across the country, because if their administrative rule across the country affected you, it's the same thing.
Well, the thing of it is, their corporation ends at the state line.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's de facto government.
Yep, that is the main point. You guys got to comprehend that one. You guys need to comprehend that is a corporation. Your birth certificate turns you into a corporation. I own my corporation. And I've had different other people, because I'm still working on the 192 structure, so this way we can sign off our water and electricity bill.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing about that, Ed. We're all owners of our corporation that they made us by fraud. It's a birth certificate.
The way you're the owners, you have to file to claim your ownership.
That's right. So when I filed my claim of ownership, and this is where I've got to get back to the Department of Treasury and notify them they are now in default contempt of court, because it was filed in a court of record. They never proved I didn't own those bonds.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't want to. Address it.
Now we know that one. We know how that one applies to a lot of things, people.
Yeah, this Title 12, Banks and Banking, Chapter 2, National Bank, Subchapter 4, Regulations of the Banking Business Powers and Duties of the National Bank, 12 U.S.C. at 95A. Supreme Court has ruled that the natural individuals entitled to relief is entitled to free access to the judicial tribunals and public offices in every state of the Union.
Oh, wait a minute. You have to pay to go to court?
That's right. We do not have to pay to go to court.
That's interesting.
I'm going to read this again so everybody comprehends this. The natural individual, meaning the man, the woman, is entitled to relief, is entitled to free access to its judicial tribunals. That is 1. 2, and public offices in every state of the Union. Does it say the federal zone? No way.
Mm-hmm.
Plaintiff should not be charged fees or cost for lawful and constitutional right to petition this court in this manner in which he or she is entitled to relief, as it appears that the filing fee rule was originally implemented for fictions. Oh, gee, that would be corporations under and subjects of the state. So where did we become subject of the state? Fraud by trickery, birth certificates, certificates of live birth, and should not be applied to the plaintiff who is a natural individual and entitled to relief. Hale versus Hinkle, 201 U.S. 43, NAACP versus Button, 371 U.S. 415, United States Mine Workers and Gibbs, 383 U.S. 715, and Johnson versus Avery, 89 Second Circuit, 474, 1969. Members of groups who are competent non-lawyers can assist other members of the group. Get that? Members of a group who are competent non-lawyers can assist other members of the group archive the goal of the group in court without being charged with unauthorized practice of law. And why would that be? Because the Supreme Court of the United States, and I forgot the ruling on it, stated that law is for everyone, and therefore they do not have to pay for it.
Do unto me and do unto eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth.
It's a fact. And that's what you folks need to realize. You don't have to pay for it. And I put that stuff up, that you don't have to pay for the courts, you don't have to pay for filings, the district attorney's hearsay witnesses. I've put the case laws up there. I put the case decisions up there as well. So, and the decisions speak. And that's where you need to stand on that structure and speak to on it.
Right. The petitioners cannot be charged a fee, as no charge can be placed upon a citizen as a condition precedent to exercise his or her constitutional right secured by the Constitution. Man, there's that Constitution coming up again. Why does the Supreme Court keep saying Constitution when it was supposedly turned over to the corporation? You forgot. It wasn't. Roosevelt suspended it before 1933. A fee, a charge. A fee is a charge fixed by law for services fixed by public officers or for use of a privilege, not a right, under control of the government. And so only if you're a member of the corporation or reside in its jurisdiction, aka the federal zone, they can charge you. But once you walk outside that federal zone into the Union States, the Republican form of government, that all goes away.
They don't want you to know that.
No, they don't.
Because they can't make the money by rape, robbing, and pillaging.
That's right. And once a court becomes a corporation, that makes them a pseudo corporate court. And every judge who is traded on Dun and Bradstreet is operating in fraud against you. My goodness, Ed, this goes on and on and on and on and on. They are committing treason against their constitutional oath of office. They're committing fraud upon the court. because the judge isn't the court. He has to remain, what's that?
Neutral.
Oh, thank you.
He's not entitled to an opinion.
Right, he's not allowed to give opinions.
And if he gives an opinion, that is fraud upon the court because he's acting as an attorney.
He's not. He cannot give an order either.
Hmm.
And what are these judges doing? They're giving order after order. Oh, I did a miss in this case under Rule 12b-6. Oh, really? So you're depriving me my constitutional right to equal justice under the law because you don't want the case to move forward, you bastard.
Mhm.
And he's acting as a prosecutor.
Remember, these people don't care for you.
They couldn't care less about you. So what they're doing is they're creating commodities in court through the clerk of the court. Boy, that's they're running their bond, commodities, and CUSIP fraud against you every time you walk into their courts.
And every time you talk to them, write down the date and have them initial it.
Exactly. So, things for you to think about, people, when you go into court. Boy, I hope we're getting through to people and they see what's going on. Because the Supreme Court ruled every court's crooked. And we all know that these judges are selling the court case on Dun & Bradstreet, Wall Street for, what's that, private gain.
On the stock exchange.
And the stock exchange, too.
Yeah.
That's where
Don't forget, the stock exchange was created.
That's where the CUSIP fraud is coming into play. When they sell that case on Dun & Bradstreet, Wall Street. And then they turn around, a lot of them turn around and buy it after they've sold it short for profit.
Yep. And then they'll resell it to themselves and make a loss for tax structure.
Sure. Yep. Well, we know the game they're playing.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it's important that they learn the Federal Rules booklet.
Then that's why everybody needs to read and comprehend the Federal Rules booklet.
Mm-hmm.
Got any questions, Ed? Let's turn it over to the audience, see if anybody has any questions.
Good point. We can open up the floor, see if anybody's got any thoughts.
All participants are unmuted. Q&A session is over.
The floor is open. Anybody got any thoughts? Okay. Well, no thoughts. I will be writing up the other structure. Hopefully I'll have the template for the children coming up here pretty soon. I am working on the template we'll have on Kate Brown finisher thirdly coming up, but the second one I'm working on right now is the one on the court systems to walk everybody through the court systems, how it walks through beyond the shadow of a doubt. So there cannot be a conflict of interest from the Bible to the structure. And I mean from the Bible. So this way people can comprehend what the real truth is compared to what they are claiming their deal is that they think. Because I mean, people attack me all the time because, I always talk about the Mother Earth, the Great Spirit, because that's what natives are. We didn't have the Bible until they shoved it down the native people's throat in 1871 when they poisoned us with the chickenpox blankets and poisoned us with other contaminated blankets. And that's where people really got to comprehend that reality, because they didn't do that until after that time when they poisoned us. Then they gave the natives the Bible to pray for the men and women, the priests and the nuns, that were actually murdering their own bloodline. You know, oh, pray to God. God will forgive you for what's going on. Pray to Him. He'll stop the murdering of your children. And the ones that gave them the Bibles were the ones that were killing them. That's what amazes me. You know, people murdering the one people they're murdering, and then people go, they accept it, and they can't think outside of the box. Because their brain is so confused and so trapped in the box, they can't even walk outside of the box to see what the truth really is and what's going on in their lives. So it is, you know, one of those things of figuring it out. Like I said, I am posting it up. I have it posted around. Please read what I've got filing on Kate Brown. If you do agree with it, autograph it. Make sure Jeff Sessions gets it. Make sure that the Ninth Circuit Supreme Court gets it, and you send it to the Grand Jury Investigating Unit. Because if we can start in getting one of the states starting to investigate this stuff, the other states will have no choice to come into compliance. That is the main point, is getting the others to come into compliance. We start to do that, and then all these people that are whining and complaining about this, that, and the other thing are going to realize that the truth is coming out, that we have rights, not privileges. And that the Native Americans are bloodline compared to immigration that are claiming, like these damn, what do they call them, these foreigners called Muslims, claiming they have a right in this country because our Constitution says this. Our Constitution only guarantees Americans bloodline lawful rights. It does not give all the people of the world rights. That's the one thing. The world, every country is run by a dictator. Wake up to the reality of the truth. And all these countries will get you running around in circles for their own damn game, and these people laugh at you by running around in circles because they know better, but they know that you're claiming to be stupid because you refuse to educate yourself to know what the truth is.
Well, that's the reason why people, the IMF and IRS are part of democracies. They're not. They don't comprehend the republic nor the Republican form of government, and they think they have jurisdiction over us. Well, I got news for them. Go to hot water.
Now that is the one thing that you guys have got to start standing up for your people. You know, it's like I watch all the time, like Native Americans, they talk about stuff they don't even know about it, and most natives don't even know their real history. Because in the early 1900s, late 1800s and 1900s, natives were taught to talk about their bloodline, their heritage. You know, simple. They were taught not to, told not to, convinced not to be part of it. And that's what's going on right now today in our states. You know, so it depends on how far you want it to go in the state for it to be circumstances until it's at your front door. Because I love to tell these people, and they go, I support immigration, let them go live with you. They come to my front door, I'm not feeding them. They come to my door, it's not my responsibility. You know, I didn't invite them in this country. And I sure ain't going to invite you into my home because my home is mine, because I wouldn't trust them because I know they'll rape, rob, and steal. Oh, you can't say that, Ed. Let me tell you, I have witnesses, judges in my own state release murderers and rapists without bail, without structure in my own state. I personally dealt with cases where 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16-year-old girls were raped by the Mexicans that came up from Mexico. Over a couple other cases in my state I helped people on. The district attorneys were going to file this or file that because they couldn't do that. Well, parents, here's how to file the charges on the terrorist. You know, and then the damn principal, the district attorney, these people get upset and they're like, how the hell do these people file this? How did they do that? They were really pissed. Because you're not supposed to know how to file and protect your rights. And they count on that. They truly do count on you on that. You know, so it is one of those things, you know. So the whole structure is to get to know what the circumstances are, what the things say. It's like we have an immigration law in this country. And the first immigration law was done by, our forefathers in the 1700s, 1774 was the basis of it. You know, and that's what people don't realize that, we had an open border back then. Technically, we didn't, but it was so much of the border, we didn't have enough men and women to keep an eye on it like we do today with the technology that we have, because we can sit there and, you know, 5 men and women could monitor a whole border change by TV screens. The technology is there. The technology has been there for 40 years, folks. What you see coming out in technology today, I'll tell you, is realistically 100 minimum 100 years behind times. That's where people don't get it. You know, it's like what Star Trek used to have the flip phone calling this the structure. Oh, now we got satellite. That was done in 1968. Then we ended up with the cell phone, the first cell phone working. The first phone call was done, I think it was done in 1974, 75. You know, I know my first cell phone I had, or wireless, whatever you called, was running me $2.25 a minute. And prior to that, I used to use it on, channel 3 or 4. And you used to be able to call long distance through your CB through an operator anywhere in the United States for free. Any long distance was free off your CBs. That I know for a fact. I used to do it all the time. You know, people say, that doesn't exist. That isn't like, you say it because you don't know. You don't have the knowledge. You weren't there. So because somebody's telling you something, it couldn't have been there, you throw out the door because you don't know the knowledge. You don't have the truth to back it up. I've backed it up. I've proven it. You know, so it's just, you know, the things are there. The things are there. So, Dave, I'm thinking about probably wrapping it up here at this point if we don't get anybody else that speaks, because I know that you just got off a long travel.
Right.
So I'd like to get 2 projects done before it gets dark here.
Yeah. So, it's been an interesting call again tonight, Ed, and I do hope people are listening to what we have to say and following our advice and where to find the stuff. Man, I'll tell you, don't be stupid and go to court uneducated. Whew. So, I don't have anything further to say, Ed.
No, I know what you got. Anyhow, I would like to thank everybody for joining us. Dave and I are not attorneys. We're not lawyers. We're just guys that been around the block a few times. Mm-hmm. For myself, I've been hit by the turnip truck. I'm still hanging on the bumper. It's an interesting travel. Bumpy, too. But the whole point of this is going into court and knowing it, asking the actor in that courtroom who he works for, what jurisdiction is he going by, and the main thing, before you get to court, and I try to explain this to people all the time, and I've had people all the time that I've worked with before they even went to court, and I said, did you file that before I went to court? Oh, no, I forgot. I didn't do this. Write a note on the refrigerator. Write a note and put it in the bathroom on your mirror. Write a somewhere, you know, your front door, inside your car, your covered wagon. Somewhere where all of a sudden the light goes off in your head going, oh, shit, I got to do that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because, you know, I mean, it helps. Those notes help because, let me tell you something, not all the time do we sit there and remember everything, and then, I got to hit this stupidity that people go by, and I mean stupidity. Attention deficit disorder! Look it up. The guy who invented it died, made a mockery, made millions of dollars laughing at the people, and he said, I was able to get away with it. And I know that because in 70 to 72, Cal Berkeley St. Mary's Hospital in San Francisco, I was a guinea pig of the bull. Attention deficit disorder happens to everyone. Driving down the road, you see a bird, you see a deer. Walk across the road. Attention deficit disorder. You see a bird flying around you, and all of a sudden it flies into a tree, and you're wondering what's going on. Attention deficit disorder. Wake up to and read what actually attention deficit disorder means. It means that you are not paying attention to what's going on around you, and all of a sudden you have no recollection because your attention went to another direction or another direction. So comprehending what it means, the wording means, comprehending that every man, woman, and child has it, and it's no different. I still can't believe they got this thing on the medical stuff. And when it comes to certain medications, the one thing I do have to advise people on, and I don't like to advise nobody, but I will use the word advise. Always, 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 always look into your history, know your bloodline, know where you come from, know who your family is, because your bloodline is very important, because remember, the Queen of England, every other corporation goes by the bloodline. That's been going on for hundreds of years. There is no difference. Once you accept the facts of the truth, you can move around a little easier. So with that, I would like to end up closing. We are working on 800 numbers and a few other things. We are going to be working on setting up, trying to get us set up in a few other of the media productions. We are working on those things as we are going through. So we would like to thank you for joining us. And also, too, may the Great Spirit walk with you. Mother Earth bless you. And please, without the structures of that, there is no future in this country. With that?
Nothing. I just took a deep breath.
You took a deep breath. Well, that helps. Breathing works.
Yeah, I know. I was going to choke, and I... So, anyway, sorry to interrupt you, Ed.
Oh, no problem. So my winning quoting is, may the Great Spirit walk with you, travel safe, and it's the best we could say.
I heard somebody say something. Somebody have a question?
I think that was in the...
Well, I remember a teacher that I had. Now, I went through the 7th grade. I went to the 7th grade. I left home when I was 10 years old because I was hungry. And I used to, this is true. I work in the summer and I go to school in the winter. But I had this one teacher. He was the principal of the Harrison School in Vincennes, Indiana. To me, this was the greatest teacher, a real sage of my time, anyhow. He had such wisdom. And we were all reciting the Pledge of Allegiance one day. And he walked over, this little old teacher, Mr. Laswell was his name. Mr. Laswell, he says, I've been listening to you boys and girls recite the Pledge of Allegiance all semester, and it seems as though it's becoming monotonous to you. If I may I recite it and try to explain to you the meaning of each word. I, me, an individual, a committee of one, pledge, dedicate all of my worldly goods to give without self-pity, allegiance, my love and my devotion to the flag, our standard, Old Glory, a symbol of freedom. Wherever she waves, there's respect, because your loyalty has given her a dignity that shouts freedom is everybody's job. United. That means that we have all come together. States, individual communities that have united into 48 great states. 48 individual communities with pride and dignity and purpose. All divided with imaginary boundaries, yet united to a common purpose. And that's love for country. And to the Republic. Republic. A state in which sovereign power is invested in representatives chosen by the people to govern. And government is the people. And it's from the people to the leaders, not from the leaders to the people, for which it stands. One nation, meaning so blessed by God, indivisible, incapable of being divided, with liberty, which is freedom, the right of power to live one's own life without threats, fear, or some sort of retaliation. And justice, the principle or qualities of dealing fairly with others. For all, which means, boys and girls, it's as much your country as it is mine. And now, boys and girls, let me hear you recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Since I was a small boy, 2 states have been added to our country, and 2 words have been added to the Pledge of Allegiance: under God. Wouldn't it be a pity if someone said that is a prayer and that would be eliminated from schools too?
You've been listening to Disclaimers by Davidlee Buess and Edward Johnston. Thank you for listening. It is currently 7:48 p.m. on July 10th, 2017. Thank you for listening.
This session is no longer being recorded.